Hello YouTube, Size17 here, but you can just call me Travis, and welcome back for another collection update. I'm not even going to say that thing that I always say, let's just jump into the music. In the background, it's probably pretty quiet right now, but it'll get louder. There we go. We're listening to Celestite by Wolves in the Throne Room. This is their 2014 release. If you're familiar with the band, they are a black metal band out of the Northwest, Washington State, my home state. And but this album is their most recent full-length. It is an ambient work. I'm excited for their album. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm excited for their album that comes out later this month, Thrice Woven. Mostly because, well, while I do like this album a lot, it's an ambient album, and I sort of thought I heard that was the direction they were going to go, but it sounds like they have reverted back to black metal for this new album. So cool. Later this month, Thrice Woven. Excited. So yeah, Celestite, Wolves in the Throne Room. Alright, before we get into the CDs, I guess since this is happening whether I like it or not, I will start showing these off as I get them coming in. I got this, I was buying The Inward Cold for a buddy of mine, and so I thought, oh, I'll pick up this Nephrons patch too, so that's pretty cool whenever that starts happening. But yeah, Nephrons, pretty cool. I had an option of white or red. I decided to go with the white. Thought that was more fitting for the band. Alright, I don't know, I didn't count, I got a number. But CDs, just CDs, and so yeah, here's the first one. This came out just last Friday. This is the new one from Cannabis Corpse. If you're not familiar with this band, this is a death metal band that attempts to, in general, to sound pretty much like Cannibal Corpse in terms of the way the band sounds, and they do an excellent job doing that. And then they take their lyrics and their song titles particularly and do you know, marijuana puns on death metal songs. Yeah, this album is I think their 5th full length, which is kind of crazy if you really think about it for like a, I don't want to say a joke band, but you know, they sort of has sort of a what's that word? A gimmick, I guess, maybe. Inside we got the lyrics, which I think actually is the only thing. We got some lyrics and credits, which is fine. But yeah, I really like this band. This probably is my least favorite album of theirs, maybe. I still think it's pretty good, but it definitely doesn't have, at least so far, I've listened to it probably 6 or 7 times. It doesn't quite have any of like I think the soloing particularly is what I'm missing from the previous works. And we have 2 new members, and they're both on guitar, so that's probably why. But yeah, this is a band, Landfill of Municipal Waste, Iron Reagan. Have you seen Iron Reagan too? I think he is. Playing on bass and vocals, his twin brother on drums, going by Hall Hammer on this band. He's been on all their releases. And then newcomers this time, Ray Sui, who just joined 6 Feet Under recently on guitar, and then Brandon Ellis, who just joined the Black Dahlia Murder on guitar. So kind of interesting. But yeah, this is still pretty good. But I don't know. It's definitely my least favorite. But maybe it'll grow on me. I'm not sure. But just for fun, I thought I would take the time to catch all the song title references and share them with you. And is that a little loud, maybe? Maybe, we'll see. Okay, so the first song on the album is called The 420th Crusade. For you bolt thrower fans out there, that is a pun on the 4th Crusade. The second track is called In Dank Purity. For you monstrosity fans out there, that is a reference to In Dark Purity. The third one, this is a track that I'm not totally sure on. The title of the Cannabis Corpse track is Final Exhalation, and you know, there's tons of death metal songs I found that were Final something. But I decided to go with, now, you know, to be honest, I've seen this band's logo forever, and I think I assumed how it was spelled, and I think this might have been the first time I've ever actually seen it spelled, actually spelled out in letters, not just the logo. Because I've never really spent any time with this band. Massacre, it's spelled like Massacre or Massacre. It's a French band, so I didn't know that either. So I went with their song Final Holocaust. I kind of felt like that maybe is the reference. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. That was the one I definitely had trouble with. I'm not going to say the numbers anymore because I'm not going to keep track. I had to write it down. The next song is Chronic Breed, which I thought was a reference of Chaos Breed by Entombed, figuring the album title, which I don't think I said, which is Left Hand Pass, which I thought was interesting. This could have been they would have gotten away with it, but that led to in a left hand. Actually, oh yeah, it'll show it. It's mirrored to me, but it's accurate. Is a reference to the Entombed album Left Hand Path. Next up is In Battle There Is No Pot, and that references to the another bolt thrower one. In Battle There Is No Law! Exclamation point. Next up is Grass Obliteration, which is another one. We got the first one from Suffocation for Mass Obliteration. And then next up is the title track, Left Hand Pass, which is Left Hand Path by Entombed. I think there's a song called Left Hand Path on Left Hand Path also. I suck. I have spent like no time with Entombed. Effigy of the Forgetful is the next one, and that's like I intimated, there's two ones by Suffocation. This one's the Effigy of the Forgotten. Next up is the one that when I was reading the tracks before the album came out, this one made me laugh out loud. So the one from Cannabis Corpse is the Patires containing the spell to protect his possessor against he who is in the bong water, which obviously is a reference to the Nile song, which is Papyrus containing the spell to preserve its possessor against he who is in the water, which is one of my favorite Nile songs. I love that song off Ethiphallic. Great underrated album by Nile. And then the last one is another reference to a Nile song. Let's see. The fiends that come to steal the weed off of the deceased. Yeah. Off of the deceased? Is that what it is? Yeah, off of the deceased. And then, like I said, Nile. The fiends who come to steal the magic with a K of the deceased. So yeah. Hopefully that wasn't really boring. It might have been. But yeah, so Cannabis Corpse, I do like it, but definitely maybe not as good as their other stuff. But if you like the band, you'll probably like this one too. And also, I would like to say, I don't really look at, just in general, I don't look at lyrics. So Landfill, I think, does all the lyrics, so he's been there the whole time. So I'm sure the lyrics are, if you enjoyed the lyrics in the other releases, you're going to enjoy it in this one too. Alright, enough babbling about that. Next up, three from the same band. I decided to go back. I think it was just last week that I showed the other one off. But I picked up the original version of Systems Overload by Integrity. And then that same seller on Discogs was selling their next full length, which is Seasons in the Size of Days. And so I figured I should also pick up, since I'm trying to do it in chronological order, I picked up the EP that came out in between that, which is Humanity is the Devil. If you've been following me lately, I have been getting into Integrity super hard, and so yeah, I've been picking up tons of their stuff. So let's start in chronological order. Systems Overload. This is their second full length. I picked up a different version of this release just recently, and I liked it, but it wasn't as good as the other stuff. And I kind of figured it was because that particular version was a remastered, kind of reimagined version where like some of the tracks were like different links and they used different parts and that kind of thing. So I kind of felt like that's not really Systems Overload, the album. It's sort of like like I said, a reimagined version of it. But so anyway, I wanted to try out the real thing because I liked so much of the other stuff, or I liked the most recent album, which I love, Howling for the Nightmare Shall Consume, and then their first full length, which is For Those Who Fear Tomorrow. I liked both of them, and I figured if I liked both ends of the discography, I should like everything. Probably and so I wanted to give Systems Overload another chance. So yeah, I definitely do like this version more than the I'm going to keep calling it the reimagined version of the album. I still would say that I don't like it as much as the other one. I don't feel a whole lot different, kind of, than I do about the other one, but I definitely do like this one better. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is about it that it doesn't. It kind of just feels less metal. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe that's. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing in itself, but I think that's the metal that Integrity was been using is what I enjoy about the band. Maybe is how I want to frame it. But yeah, still like it. It's a good album. Just not as much as I liked the other albums. Yeah, Systems Overload, Integrity. Next one up, this is one that Jason Hook hyped me several times in the comments of when I would talk about Integrity. Their EP that came out in the following year, '96, Humanity is the Devil. To be honest, this is really more a 6-track EP, and then it has it's sort of almost like a split. It has 2 tracks of a band called Psy Warfare, which is really just Dwid. And then, actually, on the very end of this release... Oh, actually, I didn't mention about... I'll come back and talk about it on the other release. At the very end, it has an EP of theirs... it's their second EP called In the Contrast of Sin, which came out in '89. I really haven't listened to that. I kind of have ignored it. And likewise, at the very end of this release of Systems Overload, there's a band. There was sort of like members of this band called Die Hard, yeah. They had an EP demo, whatever, called Off the Bat, and I think that band eventually sort of became Integrity. Wow. And then also after that, it also contains their very first EP demo, Harder Than Fall. Again, I haven't spent I really have ignored not spent any time with it because I kind of get annoyed by releases when it's just a one track as opposed to individualized. It's the CD listener in me, I guess, as we listen to a vinyl right now. Anyway, that's a lot of rambling. Let's get back to this. So really, this is a 6-track, 14-minute slam you in the face with a brick. Just wow. If I was worried that the band was losing steam with how I felt about System Overload, I'm wrong. Wow. I'm glad that Jason Hook hyped this up as much as he did, because sometimes I sort of, when I do discographies, I kind of just do full lengths, and so I might have skipped this one since it's considered an EP. But yeah, Victory Records, like I said, 1996, I'm pretty sure. Just smash you in the face, just the guitars are catchy and headbanging. Nothing on the inside of the liner notes. Credits. I thought it was kind of interesting. I couldn't find any songwriting credits for either version of Systems Overload. On this release, I noticed that it was Aaron Melnick and Dwid on some of the tracks, and Dwid and Chris Novinek. And here it just says Chris. Oh no, Chris is the drums. So it's Frank Novinek. But yeah, this is really good stuff. I wouldn't say this is my favorite because usually EPs just can't compete with full lengths because it's just the number of tracks that I'm given. But this is a fantastic EP. Vocal Test. I mean, Vocal Test. Yeah. Okay, so then the next one that came up after that is the next full length, 97. Yeah, 97. Yeah, 97. Season and the Size of Days. Again, they just continue on packing a punch. I really like this full length too. So yeah, I'm not really sure what is up about Systems Overload to me and why I don't like it as much. I still like it, but it just, I don't know, there's something about it. It just doesn't, it's not as good for all the other albums for me, so I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. Not much really going on with these liner notes other than some pictures. But yeah, another great release. This one at the very end of it, the last track also contains the last sermon of the People's Temple, you know, Jim Jones and all that stuff. So that's kind of weird. Kind of fits in sort of with the Psy Warfare material, which I didn't talk about at all, but it's kind of like a ambient noise maybe with kind of a lot of like what's that thing I want to say, like samples. I really liked Victory Records again. I really liked, I don't know if you can see it, but it has like the text is all in silver. That was pretty cool. I'm gonna pause this and flip the record. Alright, welcome back. Or welcome back if I didn't come back. Blech. Welcome back. Alright, so yeah, Integrity. I'm gonna keep on rocking on with Integrity because, you know, other than Systems Overload, which is just merely good, which again is not bad, just good. Everything's been slamming. I really enjoy all of it. I kind of didn't say, so in this one, it is Aaron Melnick writes some of the songs, and Frank Novinek writes some of the songs, and Dwid's not involved at all. So it's interesting to kind of, so I'm going to be really paying attention to kind of the songwriting dynamics of how this band goes, because it seems to be kind of all over the place. Also with the that silver text that's in the CD tray too, which I thought looks really good. I don't know if it's really showing there. Kind of get the shine of it with this light. Yeah, it looks real cool in person, I guess, more so than it does on video. Maybe it shows up on video too. But yeah, Seasons in the Size of Days by Integrity. I think their next one up is Integrity 2000 or something like that. I'll probably be getting that soon because Integrity rocks. Next up, just sticking in the same genre for now. This is one that Jason Hook recommended to me, and then Pat of Ground Zero Salem jumped in to do the same. Well, not necessarily this release. They just sent the band, and I picked out the only full length they had. This is Trial. This is their album, Are These Our Lives? This is a straight edge hardcore band out of Seattle, Washington, which is interesting. I kind of feel like, you know, I watch a lot of, you know, it's kind of a sidebar for a second. It's kind of, if someone would have told me in the beginning of 2017, you know, you're going to be listening to a lot of hardcore in 2017, I would have been like, okay, cool. But it would have been kind of surprising. But man, I kind of feel like a lot of the people who I'm watching on YouTube that, like, I feel like have a lot of similar tastes of, but like outside of stuff that I'm listening to, all seem to be you know, hardcore punk kids, you know, guys who listen to punk and hardcore in their teens and early 20s and all that jazz. And so yeah, it's kind of a tangent. Wow. The reason I bring that up is they all seem to kind of talk about bands in Seattle all the time. Eric Bauer being another one, Ross Hodo. That's probably those main fours who I'm referencing. But yeah, I feel like they're always kind of saying, oh yeah, another band out of Seattle, Washington. So obviously Seattle, Washington had a pretty decent scene. Just wasn't aware of it at the time, even though I was, you know, living near it. Anyway, enough rambling about that. Again, Trial, Are These Our Lives? They had a bunch of EPs and other stuff, splits, I think. All have released, I think, before this. I think this is actually their most lowest, what's that word? The most, you know what I mean. 99, I think they've released like some compilation material, most like really recently compared to 99, but I don't know, I really don't know anything about that. But yeah, yeah, this is pretty decent hardcore stuff. I don't like it as much Integrity, but that might be a pretty high bar to set, maybe, to get to, maybe. But yeah, this is pretty good. It is interesting. My release only lists 11 songs, and all the versions on Discogs has only 11 songs. But mine has 13, and it feels like there's sort of like an intro and like kind of like a middle song interlude. Because I don't know. I'm not sure what's up with that. But yeah, this is a band that I probably would enjoy more if I was much of a lyrics reader. because I kind of feel like they have stuff to say. Just lyrics on the inside, which I probably will not read. I did notice that they had lots of quotes. Like it's the first thing in the liner notes is a Nietzsche quote. But yeah, I kind of feel like maybe I would enjoy these guys more if I was actually listening to what they're talking about. But for the most part, other than just what I'm naturally picking up on, I'm not. But nonetheless, they have some catchy. Alright, I had a bunch of videos saved on my phone still because I didn't check, and so my phone ran out of space. So here I am back after deleting those videos. Trial, These Are Our Lives, solid thing, not amazing, but cool release. I got it really cheap, so no harm, no foul, even if it was bad, which it's not. Next up, this is a release that, Speak of the Devil, Eric Bauer showed off maybe like a month ago, maybe a month and a half, 2 ago. I don't know how long. It was fairly recently, but not like real recently. This is Witch Cross with Fit for Fight. This is a traditional heavy metal. Kind of has a new wave of British heavy metal sound to it, specifically in the way the vocals are sounding and recorded, maybe produced. But this is actually a Danish band. Can bands that aren't British be new wave of British heavy metal bands? I'm not sure. Anyway, it has that kind of sound. This came out in like '84, but this specific release is a re-release done by Hell's Headbangers in 2012. There was a few reissues in between there too, but most of them have been in the 2000s. They did a EP, I think, before this release, and then they did a couple more releases. I think a compilation and another full length in the 2000s, which I had not listened to any of that other stuff. Just this. This is pretty good. I really like it a lot. It's definitely not my favorite album of all time or anything like that, but it certainly is decent, worth your time if you are into new wave of British heavy metal sound. Yeah, I really like the vocals. But yeah, the riffs are very energetic and catchy, and you know the soloing is pretty decent too. Not like super shreddy like I usually like, but it's still some decent soloing. But yeah, Witch Cross, Fit for Fight. Not a whole lot I really want to say about this, or have anything to say about this, but it's pretty good, and you should check it out. Next up is a 2017 release. This came out in like April, maybe May. I can't remember. This is a band out of Australia. This is Asbestosisis. Now check out this cover art. Does that look familiar to you at all? How about if I go like this? How about if I go like this? Does this look familiar to you at all? So yeah. This album is called Eaten Back in Time, and yeah, this album is clearly a combination of Iron Maiden's Somewhere in Time and Cannibal Corpse's Eaten Back to Life. Obviously, that is the reason that immediately drew me to checking this album out. I found this on Bandcamp. This is kind of a gore grind kind of a sound. Sort of, it kind of reminds me, specifically in vocals, and sort of in the catchiness in terms of their band direction, we'll say. Sort of reminds me of Cock and Bull Torture, especially the vocals, because it kind of has that gurgly sound in parts, although it certainly is kind of like that gurgly mixed with death traditional gore grind vocals at the same time, if that makes sense. But anyway, even if this was going to be novelty, I knew that I would want to listen to this and most likely buy it. It's not amazing material, but it definitely is, you know, it's definitely solid gore grind. Just an EP, it's like 15 minutes long. Comes in one of these horrible slipcases, but you know, whatever. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about this one either, other than the fact that I love the album artwork, and that yeah, this one is just, I mean, gonna let that one sink in. Hope if I just hold this here for a really, 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 really long time, this will be one of the what are those things called? The thumbnails that's offered to me, because I feel like I really want this one to be the thumbnail. I haven't really messed with trying to manipulate that. Maybe if I hold my mouth open like I always seem to be doing. Alright, so yeah, Asbestosisis, Eaten Back in Time. Find it on Bandcamp. I'll link below like I always do for everything. Check this out just because it's fun. Last one up. This is a release I also found on Bandcamp. This is a band called Dehumanizing Itatrain Worship. And their album that came out on December 31st, 2016, so I'm going to treat it like a 2017 release essentially, called m'Sick or something like that. It has kind of this you-looking character, which I found out was a Greek character, and it looks like it's pronounced like my, but also the Y and my have like the umlauts looking thing over the top of it, so I don't know how you pronounce it, but m'Sick, something like that. Yeah, this, if you can't tell by the artwork and the logo, which actually got this sticker, which you can see it up close. Dehumanizing Itatrain Worship, which I looked up. Itatrain sounds like it is a trains in Japan that have like anime or manga or whatever painted on them. So whatever, they wanted to dehumanize the worshippers of that. But this actually is a Chinese band. This is some brutal death metal, slam, I guess if you want to say deathcore. So yeah, I found this at some point on Bandcamp, and I think at the time it was just digital, and it wasn't a physical release. So I was like, okay, I'll add it to the wish list, and whenever it comes a physical release, if it does, I will pick it up. Because I remember liking it, and that was a while ago, and I kind of had forgotten, you know, I had sort of a general idea that it was like, you know, deathcore, and I kind of just, that's what I thought it was. It'd been long enough that I sort of had forgotten what it actually sounded like. I sort of had, you know, stereotyped it based on the album art. But, you know, maybe a couple weeks ago, I pulled it up on Bandcamp, whatever, and I was like, you know, I haven't listened to this forever. I should listen to it now that I see that there's a physical release, and, you know, see what it's all about. And it's deathcore, it's slam, whatever. And, which, you know, I don't really listen to a whole lot of, but I don't hate it. There's a fair number of it that I do like. But yeah, I don't listen to a whole lot of it. But the thing that I liked about this release was that it mixes it with kind of like, there's these moments where they get really brutal, but also mix in kind of like a technical death metal, spacey technical death metal sound. Not necessarily in terms of like really like super techie wank stuff, but just, you know, it's still, you know, really nice lead stuff going on. But the tone of the guitars is that kind of really spacey sound, and the mixture with the brutal sound just sounds really excellent to me. The vocals, you know, you got some really good deathcore grunting along with the pig squeal stuff, which I don't dislike and actually kind of enjoy. Probably because I don't listen to a whole lot of it, so it doesn't get old to me. But yeah, specifically for people who like, I would say the specific album, Beyond Cops, Beyond God by Waking of the Cadaver. If you like that album, definitely check this one out. Pettifer, I'm talking to you probably the most. One of the things that sometimes I've come across that I love is when bands have stuff that's in language that doesn't even have English characters at all. You know, for like a band like Moonstar, which I love, obviously is in Finnish, but you know, at least, you know, Kivin Kantia, like I can sort of sound it out because I know, sort of, I can guess on the sounds of those letters because I'm, you know, they're at least familiar to me in the use of English. But you know, when you get Chinese characters and stuff, you know, I wouldn't even know how to begin to sound that stuff out, and so just the idea of like language is just mind-blowing. It's just cool to me. But yeah, this band mixes mostly Chinese with a little bit of English also within the lyrics, which is kind of fun. But yeah, this is pretty cool. It's an EP. I think it's like maybe 15-16 minutes long. But I like it a lot. Particularly the 5th track, which is called, which I'm not actually sure if it's called this. It's Unbalanced Brutal Love, maybe, or maybe Brutal Love. I don't know if you can see that without too much reflection, but so yeah, I'm not sure how you pronounce that for sure, but it's either brutal or brutal. I kind of feel like it's brutal, but I feel like brutal is the way I've seen it most, including the way it's spelled here, so I don't know what's really true. But yeah, if you're into brutal death metal, slam deathcore stuff, with maybe a little bit of a spacey lead guitar work, and that sounds cool to you, definitely check this out, because this is pretty cool. This might make sort of near the bottom of my top 30 list, but probably won't. Just because there's going to be more stuff coming out that I think will probably make the top 30, like probably Wolves of the Throne Room, I would imagine. Hopefully I'm hoping these releases are cool and will make the list. The Air Raid that also comes out at the end of the month, I hope that's awesome. We just found out new Cannibal Corpse. Turn Red Before Black, or Blue, no, Turn Red Before Black, yeah, anyway, I think it comes out November 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, something like that, so that'll be cool. Cannibal Corpse I love, so, pretty much everything in this, Eric Rutan, Kill and After era has been awesome, so, I have high hopes for that record, too, and, yeah, I think there's a couple other things I just can't think of off the top of my head, and, yeah, probably just a couple things I don't know about yet, even. So, yes, 2017 has been an awesome year, and it looks like we're going to continue on with some more awesome releases here to come. And so my long tangent has come back to the fact that who knows if that album will make the top 30 or not. But as of right now, it probably is sort of in the mix at the bottom. So yeah, that's all I got for this week. Have you listened to these albums before? If you have, what do you think of them? Or, you know, these bands, what do you think of the bands? Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Have a good day.